so many similarities between Milwaukee and Pittsburgh, meaning as markets. There are almost no similarities between their respective baseball franchises. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins, other two teams in town that I cover. Brewers 7, Pirates 1 last night in the House of Horrors up in Milwaukee. There was nothing remotely interesting about the game. There tends to not be things that are interesting about these matchups. And this one, Andrew Heeney was hit hard again. 6 runs, 9 hits over 4 innings. A couple of those hits left the yard. That happens to him a lot. He's really found the pumpkin. The offense, if you want to call it that, managed 3 whole hits. One of those was a home run by Joey Bart, who otherwise was just horrific. And I'm talking about behind the plate. Couldn't catch anything that came his way from any of his fielders, threw the ball all over the place. Just wow, this team is so bad. While those other guys are so good. In fact, they're the best. Right now, the Brewers are the best team in Major League Baseball at 74-44. They've won 10 in a row. They can pitch, they can catch, they can really hit, and yet they're based in a market, the Milwaukee market, that is 2/3 the size of the Pittsburgh market. Moreover, their payroll is at $113 million. The Pirates are probably going to end up a little bit over 90, and you might think, wow, that's a pretty big gap there. It isn't. 23 million isn't much in this game, and it's not what's made the difference. It's not what's had the Brewers qualify for the playoffs 6 of the past 7 years, and of course this one will be 7 in the past 8 years. It's not what had the Brewers at 92 wins a couple of years ago, 93 wins last year. Who knows how high into the 90s they'll go this time. What's made it happen is that they've got an owner, Mark Attanasio, who is committed to winning. He's committed to finding winning people, making winning decisions. And no, his payroll's not all that high either. But as I'm saying all the time, the list of Bob Nutting's shortcomings doesn't have the payroll anywhere in the top 10, at least in my view. Well, the same would certainly apply in the reverse to Attanasio in Milwaukee. In late 2019, the Pirates general manager opening came down to Ben Cherington and Matt Arnold. Nutting chose wrong. He chose Cherington. And the Brewers kept Arnold, found a way to kick him upstairs, if you will. And he has been the architect of everything that's happened there, following in the footsteps of David Stearns, who was lured away by the Mets. Arnold's got some analytics to him. He's got some evaluation to him. He's got some big boss type of presence to him. He was the right choice. I'm not saying this when it's convenient, and in hindsight, I put it into print at the time and in emphatic terms that the Pirates needed to hire Arnold. So Nutting hired Cherington. And in his words at the time, he did so because he saw Cherington as an organization builder, not valuing, at least not enough, obviously, that the other guy was coming from a place where they'd already built this. They already knew, they already got it, they already felt it. Nutting was looking for a mechanic, and the Brewers were looking for Mario Andretti. This is the chasm between the two. It's what's created the chasm anyway. To repeat here, it's not the money. It's how the money that they have has been spent. They do really well in the draft. They do really well in Latin America, the Brewers do. They do really well on the international scene. When they do make a big move, and they're not afraid to make those, as they've shown, they don't miss, at least not for long. Christian Yelich signed a 9-year extension in Milwaukee for $215 million in Milwaukee. And it wasn't all roses early on. He was a pretty big mystery to a lot of people with the Brewers when his hitting just suddenly fell off. Well, it turns out it suddenly fell off because he had Andy Haynes as a hitting coach. At which point, Cherington hired Haynes after the Brewers made him the only member of their staff that they fired after the 2022 season. Incredible stuff. It's like a Saturday Night Live skit. When the Brewers needed some power at a corner position, instead of going through all this silliness that you've seen Cherington try, they just said, we're just going to get Rhys Hoskins. And they put in 3 years and $39 million. Not a massive contract by baseball standards. The Yelich one was. But they identified a very plain need on their field and said, man, we feel like we've got a pretty good team here, and we feel like we could win if we would address that need. They went and addressed the need. Nuts, huh? Now, Hoskins, to be fair and accurate here, hasn't exactly been a great find to date. He's batting .242 with 12 homers and 42 RBIs. You would take all of those figures on the Pirates in a moment, but he also hasn't been healthy. He isn't healthy now. He's got a thumb injury. But then, because they have actual depth, because they know how to identify talent at all levels and all ages, they moved Andrew Vaughn into his spot after acquiring Vaughn from the White Sox. And all Vaughn has done, talk about the Milwaukee effect, in the month and change since then is to bat .352 with a 1.045 OPS, 7 home runs, 29 RBIs. My friends, I'm talking about a month here. And I'd be remiss if mentioning the Milwaukee effect and not bringing up, yet again, that they were the organization that figured out Quinn Priester, who'd been a first-round pick of the Pirates. Priester had been in Pittsburgh and in the Pittsburgh system, if you think about it, for nearly half a decade. Any idiot sitting in the stands, or even one particular idiot sitting in the press box as Priester was coming up through the system, could recognize that he was terrified to throw his fastball. I would even ask the kid about this. The Pirates kept insisting that he throw this terrible pitch that was getting terrible results. So they gave up on him. They sent him to the Red Sox for 2-0 hitting prospects, who, by the way, are at least in their mid-20s, so they had that going for them. The Red Sox didn't figure out anything either. The Brewers picked him up, and he is currently 11-2 with a 3.49 ERA, a 1.24 WHIP, and 95 strikeouts in 118 2/3 innings. Saturday Night Live skit. That's what this is. When we come back, J1Q. If you're looking for a great dining experience, look no further than North Shore Tavern. Located directly across Federal Street from PNC Park, next door to Mike's Beer Bar, North Shore Tavern is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. Enjoy your steak finished on a hot lava stone in front of you, where you ensure each piece is cooked to exactly your liking. Or try their rotating selection of entrees, hot sandwiches, salads, and burgers, all while enjoying the ambiance dedicated to the great players and history of the Pittsburgh Pirates all around you. Come see why everyone's talking about North Shore Tavern and steak on a stone.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from James, who says simply, why is Andrew Heeney still part of this team. Best thing about your question, James, is that the most obvious answer of all, which is that he's been really bad for a long time and there's no justification for it. And you've got Bubba Chandler, who hasn't been great in the minors, but at least might benefit from getting a look or some experience in the majors. You have Johan Oviedo knocking on the door back. And Heeney, for anybody who doesn't know, is on an expiring contract, which means his chance of being here in 2026 isn't exactly good. No one really seems to know why Heeney is struggling the way he is. Last night, Jose Negron, our reporter from DK Pittsburgh Sports, and by the way, the only reporter for any Pittsburgh media outlet to make the trip to cover this team, asked Don Kelly afterward, well, here, listen for yourself.
Seems like these struggles have kind of gone back to that June start against the Tigers where you gave up 7 runs, then back-to-back starts, gave up 7 runs. Have you seen any commonality in what has kind of gone wrong for him over maybe this last 9 appearance stretch?
Yeah, he's had some good ones in there, and I think that for all of our guys, just the fastball command, being able to locate that, especially for him on the inner rail and pitching up and in, opens up his changeup and his breaking ball. And, maybe a little bit of that tonight, but I thought, more so in other starts, the command really is what eluded him.
After that, Heeney out in the clubhouse came back with a series of 1 or 2 word answers for everything that he was asked. The whole thing lasted about 20 seconds. And still, no, that's not the dumbest part of his being here at the moment. Rather, it's that it comes at a literal no gain for the Pirates, for the players, for anybody, especially when you consider that it's Heeney, it's Tommy Pham, it's Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, all on expiring contracts. And they all were retained, which stunned even them, maybe especially them. And all of this happened on the same day that Cherington just gave away Bailey Falter, whose rights the team would own for another couple seasons. And just perfectly serviceable, professional, left-handed starter, helps keep the other team's hitters from getting too locked in on all the good righties that you have. And Cherington just hands him to Kansas City for nothing, for 3 piles of nothing that came back. To this day, I've only yet heard one word, and it came from one of our commenters in our community on the DK Pittsburgh Sports app. I wish I'd thought of it myself, selfishly, but they called it sabotage. And I went, sabotage? And after getting the Beastie Boys thing stuck in my head, sabotage. Now that makes sense. Like you're just dropping a match in the lobby on your way out of the building for the last time. You're going all Milton on Initech in Office Space. Just take your red swing line stapler, walk outside on that grass hill and watch it burn. What a franchise. I appreciate the question, James. I appreciate everybody who torments themselves by listening to this show. There will be another one tomorrow.